You are building an app. Maybe it is your side project, maybe it is the next big startup. You have your front-end looking slick, your API endpoints ready, and then you hit the wall. The database. You have heard the terms SQL and NoSQL thrown around, and everyone acts like the choice is obvious. But it is not obvious at all. In fact, picking the wrong database can slow you down for months. So which one should you choose? Let us settle this once and for all. This is Dev Brief, and today we are breaking down the real differences between SQL and NoSQL, no fluff, just what you actually need to know. First, let us talk about what SQL actually is. SQL stands for Structured Query Language, and it has been around since the 1970s. It is the backbone of relational databases like PostgreSQL, MySQL, and SQLite. The core idea here is structure. You define your schema up front. You have tables with rows and columns. You have relationships between those tables. Think of it like a meticulous filing cabinet. Every piece of paper has a designated drawer, a designated folder, and a designated slot. You cannot just shove a paper anywhere. This strict structure gives you something incredibly powerful: consistency. You can enforce rules. You can guarantee that every user has a valid email, that every order is linked to a real customer. This is called ACID compliance. Atomicity, consistency, isolation, durability. In plain English, it means your transactions are safe. If your bank transfers money from your savings to your checking, and the server crashes halfway through, the money does not disappear. It either completes fully or rolls back completely. That is a game changer for financial systems, for e-commerce, for anything where data integrity is non-negotiable. Now, the other side of the coin is NoSQL. The term is a bit misleading. It does not really mean NoSQL. It means not only SQL. NoSQL databases emerged in the late 2000s to handle things that relational databases struggled with. Massive scale. Flexible schemas. Rapid iteration. The most common types are document stores like MongoDB, key-value stores like Redis, wide column stores like Cassandra, and graph databases like Neo4j. The big shift here is that you are not working with rigid tables. In a document store, you store JSON-like documents. Each document can have different fields. One user document might have a phone number, another might not. The database does not care. It gives you flexibility. And because of this flexibility, NoSQL databases are often easier to scale horizontally. You want to add more servers to handle more traffic? No problem. Just add another node to the cluster. This makes NoSQL a favorite for real-time analytics, content management systems, and Internet of Things applications where you are ingesting a fire hose of data that looks different every second. So we have SQL with its strict structure and ACID guarantees, and NoSQL with its flexibility and horizontal scaling. Which one wins? The answer is boring but true: it depends. Let us dig into some real-world scenarios to make this concrete. Imagine you are building a banking app. Every transaction must be accurate. If you transfer money, it must debit one account and credit another atomically. You cannot have a moment where the money is missing. That is ACID. You need strict consistency. A relational database like PostgreSQL is your best friend here. If you try to use a NoSQL database for a banking ledger, you will spend months engineering workarounds for consistency. It is possible, but painful. Now consider a different scenario. You are building a social media feed for millions of users. Each user sees a unique mix of posts. The data is highly unstructured. You need to serve hundreds of thousands of requests per second. You do not care about strict consistency for every single post. If a user sees a post that is 2 seconds stale, that is fine. You care about availability and speed. This is where a NoSQL database like Cassandra or MongoDB shines. It is built for that kind of scale. Another common use case is a content management system. A blog platform. Each article has different fields. Some have images, some have video embeds, some have custom metadata. With a SQL database, you would need a complex table with lots of nullable columns, or a separate table for metadata, which complicates your queries. With a document store like MongoDB, each article is just a document. Simple. Flexible. The database schema matches your code objects almost one-to-one. That is why many modern web applications start with MongoDB and then later migrate to a relational database if they need more complex relationships. And that brings us to the common mistakes. The biggest mistake I see developers make is choosing a database for the wrong reason. They pick MongoDB because it is trendy, even though their app is a financial platform with complex transactions. They pick PostgreSQL because they heard it is the best, even though they are building a real-time chat system that needs to handle millions of writes per second. Another huge mistake is trying to use one database for everything. Startups especially fall into this trap. They think, I will just use PostgreSQL for everything. And then they end up storing JSON blobs in a text column, writing spaghetti queries, and struggling with performance. The truth is, many systems use multiple databases. A common pattern is to use PostgreSQL for your core transactional data, Redis for caching and session management, and Elasticsearch for full-text search. Each database does what it does best. This is called polyglot persistence, and it is the way professional systems are built. But for most developers just starting out, the choice is simpler. If your data is highly structured, if relationships between entities are important, if you need ACID guarantees, go with SQL. You will not regret it. PostgreSQL is an excellent default choice. If your data is unstructured, if you are iterating quickly and your schema changes frequently, if you need to scale horizontally from day one, then NoSQL might be a better fit. But do not just take my word for it. Think about your actual data. Draw out your entities and their relationships. Ask yourself, will my queries involve joins across multiple related tables? If yes, SQL. Do I need to enforce data integrity across multiple operations? If yes, SQL. Am I storing documents that look different from one another? Is my data mostly self-contained? Do I need to scale writes across many servers? Then NoSQL is worth considering. One more thing to keep in mind: operational complexity. Running a NoSQL cluster in production is non-trivial. MongoDB and Cassandra require careful configuration, monitoring, and maintenance. A single PostgreSQL instance can handle a surprising amount of traffic before you even need to think about replication. So for a small team or a solo developer, SQL often wins because it is simpler to operate. Let me leave you with a final thought. The worst thing you can do is get stuck in analysis paralysis. Pick a database that seems reasonable, build your prototype, and validate your assumptions. You can always migrate later. It is not fun, but it is possible. What is not possible is building a great product while constantly debating your database choice. So here is my advice: unless you have a strong reason not to, start with PostgreSQL. It is the Swiss Army knife of databases. It supports JSON, full-text search, arrays, geospatial data. You can even use it as a message queue. If you outgrow it, you will have a clear understanding of why. And then you can confidently add a NoSQL database to your stack. That is how professionals do it. That is how you build systems that last. If this helped you think more clearly about databases, hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And if you want more no-fluff, developer-focused breakdowns, subscribe to Dev Brief. We will see you in the next one.